If you're a frequent viewer of the channel, you'll know I've already uploaded some 2021 vlogs last year, but this video starts the bulk of my 2021 travels and will fill in the gaps of what I've already uploaded. Speaking of which, this morning I'll be flying aboard United Airlines over to Denver for the airline's re-inaugural flight of the 737 MAX tomorrow, a video I've already posted a while back. Since I'm not traveling with any checked luggage or carry-ons this trip, I decided to go with the cheaper basic economy option on United, which requires an agent to come confirm I only had a personal item with me to get my boarding passes. Once they did that, it was off to the DE security checkpoint here at BWI. Now, I should probably explain myself why the heck I'm starting the video off in Baltimore. Well, you see, before I moved to San Francisco for grad school, I lived in Baltimore for 4 years. The pandemic had me moving back to Pittsburgh, my hometown, for almost a year as all my classes were virtual, but the spring semester of 2021, also my last semester for undergrad, finally transitioned back to a hybrid setting, which saw me move eventually back to Baltimore. Now, originally because of a bunch of auditions I was doing at the time, I really wasn't planning on traveling at all January, February, and March, but when this United 737 MAX reintroduction flight came up, I had to give it a go, and it just so happened I was in Baltimore February 10th, so I flew here out of BWI to Denver. So, after walking all the way down BWI's Concourse D, I found my ride for today, Annndddd 7474, at the time of filming a nearly 8-year-old 737-900ER delivered to United back in May of 2013. As I still had a bit of time till boarding and my gate area being full, decided to go across to one of the Spirit gates, which was completely empty, to eat my breakfast sandwich, which, no joke, is still my favorite of all time. Apparently these birds had an interest as well, but sadly for them, I was not sharing. And not long later, it was time for boarding.
Mr. Burnham.
Hello.
Mr. Thank you.
In 2021, the majority of airlines finally axed their back-to-front boarding, United being one of them, but February they were still doing it, which is good for me having basic economy and having a seat towards the back for some slightly better cabin footage.
Hello.
United 737-900ERs have a few different layouts, this one unfortunately being the PTV-less variety, also their newer product. But unlike the planes with monitors, these seats definitely give the cabin more flavor with their brighter blues, along with the mood lighting up above. In front, there are 20 first class seats, while in the back, 39 economy plus seats and 120 economy class seats. As I said, we'll be pretty close to the back today in 34F. Before I start the seat tour, hand sanitizing wipes were handed out upon boarding, and I can confirm United is still doing so even today. Without the personal TVs up top, the seat back itself is pretty bland and a little Southwest-like. Luckily, United is planning on bringing them back soon, unlike American. Legroom is not too bad for 6-foot me, but that's right now. 3-4 hours in the future, and I know I'll be feeling it, especially with 2 people next to me. The safety card is located ahead in the seat back pocket, which is decently sized for most personal small items, and below is my backpack because I need stuff in it during the flight. Seat comfiness is rather mediocre, but they do have adjustable headrests. And lastly, the windows, which 34F is perfectly positioned for, to have solid views ahead and behind.
Safety information cards for the operation of those items. If the doors are open in an emergency, slides automatically inflate. It's unlikely that in a water landing, forward door slides attach from the aircraft and serve as extra flotation. Do not use the aft exits unless advised by a crew member.
The taxi today will be very short over to runway 28, as Concourse D is the closest to it. BWI also has concourses A, B, C, and E, located around a loop with jetties sticking out. In my honest opinion, it by far offers the best passenger experience of the 3 DC airports. But anyways, here's our takeoff out to the west. While there are no PTVs at every seat, thankfully United at least provides some universal power outlets below. Granted, there are only 2 per 3 seats, but at least they're there. Flight attendants will be coming by shortly with snack bags and a separate drink service, so time to open this tray table up. Unfortunately, no cup grooves, but at least it's adequately sized. As for how long I'll be squished back here, that would be 3 hours and 51 minutes of flying time cruising at an altitude of 36,000 feet, or almost 11,000 meters, over 9 states in total: Maryland, Virginia, West Virginia, Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Kansas, and finally Colorado, passing by cities like Cincinnati, Bloomington, St. Louis, Kansas City, and Topeka. I have to say, throughout the pandemic, United has been one of the most generous when it comes to handing out snacks and drinks out to its passengers, even above Delta and JetBlue in some cases. I mean, look at all that. For economy, that's really solid. Besides the hot tea with cream and sugar I asked for, the snack bag came with United's signature Stroop waffle, a bag of pretzels, another sanitizing wipe, and a small bottle of water. Aside from Rhapsody and Blue, the next best part of a United flight is doing this procedure. Wait a few minutes, and then it's ready for eating. Highly recommend doing this, although it does seem United is mixing in Biscoff cookies more and more, unfortunately, recently. Even though there's no moving flight map in front of me, there is still a way. On any mobile device, a flight tracker is available when accessing United's free entertainment system, which shows we are over southern Indiana at the moment. We'll show off more of its features a little later on, but for now, let's check out one of these lavatories on board, since my legs are starting to feel it. There are 3 lavatories on board this 737-900ER, and they are all quite small and a bit outdated, which isn't necessarily a bad thing in some cases. On a cramped, packed flight like this, the lav is just a good place to get some privacy on such a long flight. But can't stay in there forever, and back to my seat I went. And now for the promised look at United's free IFE, and brought out the computer for this one. Here is the home page where everything can be accessed from. Clicking the BWI to Denver tab up top brings me to the flight map I showed earlier, as well as some general flight info. The weather tab is found to the right of all that, and yep, it's cold there. Wi-Fi, as usual, is not free and can be purchased from the home screen as well. $10 for the flight isn't cheap, but it's also not as pricey as some. For the actual entertainment, United provides some movies, TV shows, and kids content to watch, In the spirit of mountains, freezing temperatures, and snow, this movie called Downhill popped out to me with Will Ferrell, so I'm gonna see how it is.
Return your headrest to the original position and fasten your seatbelt. For sitting near a window, we ask you open the window shade for landing. Flight attendants, please prepare the cabin for arrival. Be seated.
Just before we started our initial descent, I finished the movie, which, barring how simple the plot was, I thought it was alright. Flight attendants also came by mid-watching asking if anyone wanted another drink, for which I got a can of Coke. Unfortunately, as you could tell, the entire flight was over a thick cloud cover, so we didn't get to see any towns, cities, and landscape changes as we trekked across the country. And now, we're already making our turn into final approach for DIA's runway 35 left. Now when I say already, it definitely feels like it's a long time. Denver International Airport, the Conspiracy Airport, also a United, Frontier, and Southwest focus city/hub. Now, before I start my review, I should mention this was actually the first flight I brought a GoPro on board to complement my camera, and it literally came at the perfect time, as I had to take a leak so bad that I couldn't wait till we got to the gate, and I had to rush to the lav as soon as we landed. Actually, my seatmate did the same exact thing. So the taxi footage is thanks to my GoPro, while I made some painful noises in the lavatory. I have mixed feelings about United 737-900ER. It's definitely not the MAX, which is by far the best 737 interior they have, but it's certainly not the -700 or -800. Legroom and the lack of a PTV was the biggest issues for me, especially on this nearly 4-hour flight. My legs were stiff as a board by the end. And obviously not having a monitor cross country kinda sucks, but as I said, United surprisingly believes in them again, and they are slowly coming back. Other than those things, service was great. FAs were friendly, cabin mood was decent, and timeliness was good. This was my only flight today, so I was not crunched for time to get on another flight, but I did appreciate we were on time as I had 2 virtual classes to attend not long after we landed, so it did help that we were on time, obviously. Overall, a good experience this morning, despite my bladder exploding in the back. Thanks a lot. Thanks. Thank you.
Please keep clear and hold on for departure to all A gates.
So, after coming off my flight, I actually stuck around the airport for a few hours doing my first class there, before I had some time to go downtown on the rapid transit and catch my second class at my hotel. I've taken this train quite a bit now between Denver and DIA, and I would highly recommend taking it, as there's not a whole lot of stops, and these trains are pretty fast, and offer some sweet views as well. Well, that will conclude this video today. After settling in and completing my last class, I met up with some familiar friends, had some dinner, and got ready for the big flight tomorrow, which you can check out on my channel if you haven't watched it yet. Hope you guys enjoyed the flight today over to Denver though, aboard United 737-900ER in economy. Thank you for watching, and catch ya on the next one.